So Mr. Eyembe Elango is going to present, I think they actually share the work between the two. So he's going to present informations about some minerals, I guess diamond and other minerals.
Before we came here, somebody called. He works on Wall Street. He happens to be from the Congo. He found this report online, much as you did. He says, Eyembe, where you live? I said, it depends who's asking. Is it the IRS? He said, I want to talk to you and Marie-Flo. As a matter of fact, he spoke in impeccable English, which is, he said he was from Congo. I almost didn't believe him because he had no trace of an accent whatsoever. But he says, I want to meet with you and Marie-Flo because I think you should do a similar report for the Congo. I said, Congo is many, many days' walk from my village. But if he'll pay, I have some really good shoes.
Nyamin found Sia Jojo. I found to the Kukumo. Adoya Wayama for Frontino. Nyamin found Sia Jojo.
My fellow comrades, it is with shock and consternation that we learned about the passing of our comrade, Eyembe Elango, this last month of March. And I think it has kind of destabilized most of us who got the chance to really know him. Given the kind of person that he was and the role that he has played in our liberation struggle over the past 7 years. Bizarrely, this month of March 2024 marked the 10th anniversary of the passing of Lapiro Dembanga. And for a moment, I contemplated doing a video in his honor. And automatically, Eyembe came to mind. Because it is thanks to Lapiro Dembanga that I got to know Eyembe. For many comrades, Eyembe is probably somebody that you got to know sometime around 2017 or maybe 2018. But for me, we have had a relationship that dates back to 2008. So I have known him, worked with him, communicated and really interacted, got to know each other for the past 16 or 17 years. I have often said it to the people who know me that in this, our liberation struggle, I have had the fortune of coming across some really brilliant people. And amongst these brilliant people, two of them I have always considered to be geniuses. These are people who are not normal, they are not average human beings. They reason, they think, they operate at a completely different level. Maybe three maybe. And Eyembe is one of them. He is one of those geniuses that I have met in this struggle.
Just so that, again, when you're doing policy planning, I'm not an economist, by the way, I'm just trying to illustrate for people who are interested from different aspects of different parts of society, in business or otherwise, to start looking at what these opportunities represent. It's not just the minerals on the ground, but across that value chain, what it ultimately means and what it means for your potential customers. Where are you going to invest? And a lot of these investments are capital intensive, but it's your country, isn't it? If we don't start looking at these with an eye to making business decisions, policy decisions, many of the people who are going to be making decisions before another generation might just be somebody in here. But again, it was essential that we go back and do the homework. And Eric Chinje mentioned earlier that sometimes we need to drill down and get that baseline information, intelligence up so that those decisions can be made by anybody, including people who are just business interests.
An interesting twist brought us together, like I said, in 2008, when the uprising took place in Cameroon and Lapiro Dembanga got arrested and jailed by the government of Cameroon. Together with comrades in South Africa, we had gotten involved in the pressure to get him released, working with organizations such as Free News. And it is in the process of this lobbying and pressure that we were putting on the government, working with international organizations, lobbying different governments, that I encountered Eyembe. And he had just published a translated version of the song of Lapiro Dembanga called Nayu Duam, or Nayu, I think. And so I started to follow a bit of his writing on social media and eventually made contact. And I had contacted him because I needed permission to use some of his material, which of course very quickly he was like, yeah, go ahead, you do it. And in the process, as we built the organization KO, Eyembe became very, very much involved, became a major part of the organization that we were building, and our key person in the United States. In 2009, we had taken the decision that for us to be effective, it was important that we have contacts on the ground, that were able to establish contact on the ground back at home. And I had gone back home to meet with the leadership of the SDF. Eyembe was the team that worked on the strategy, the planning and everything. When I eventually met with the SDF leadership, late 2009, early 2010, I think. But I'm not going to go into that. That's a story for a different day. We had decided that we needed to build the momentum from the grassroots. And that's how we had taken the decision to make contact with student activists, young people at university level who were already agitating for some kind of change. And that's how the likes of Mark Barretta, Marcel Amabo were introduced to me while I was in Cameroon. Later, Mark Barretta became very instrumental in our liaison on the ground with Lapiro Dembanga, in our effort to assist his family, mobilize funds to send his children to school, and so on. And again, he played a key role, and I think he's the person, he played a key role in the mobilization that we made sometime later on towards the release of Ashu Kingsley, who had been arrested by the government, the police, I think, and eventually helping to escape him, to help him to escape to Nigeria. And so gradually we were able to form some kind of a bond, and Eyembe was very, very much instrumental and part of this. With the dying momentum of the efforts that we were making in the mid-2000s, Eyembe continued to publish short writings, and he would share all of this with me. So we kept in touch. And then came 2017. After the first conclave, I had come back from Nigeria, and I got a call, and it was Eyembe. And as usual, he was like, oh yeah, I see the good work you people are doing. Just let me know, anything at all, anything you want me to do. I'm here to assist. And I was like, we don't need you to assist. You have to be part and parcel of this. Please come on board. And that's how we were able to recruit Eyembe into the liberation struggle of Southern Cameroons. And gradually he became a central figure, became so instrumental, so important in the progress and the build-up of SCACUF through the governing council, and eventually culminated in him being nominated the chief of staff by Sisiku Ayuktabe when he formed the interim government. Of course, after the Nera arrest, as you know, we had the introduction of all kinds of characters, and at some point there was a sustained attack on his character assassination on the person and the reputation of Eyembe, and a sustained effort to discredit him. And like I've said, He is one of the 2 or 3 people I have met over the past 7 years in our liberation struggle, whom I consider a genius. And as is the tendency with a lot of our people who are super smart pose a threat. And the only way we can deal with them is to try and destroy them. And I think with this effort by some to assassinate his character, Eyembe decided to take a backseat role, and gradually over the years has been operating from behind the scenes, churning out publications, documenting the atrocities of La République on our homeland, and has been a key go-to person every time we need something. Everybody knows this who's met him. He is very resourceful. From the production of flyers, design of documents, editing of documents, brainstorming ideas, that's Eyembe.
There's a lot of money to be made in the chain. The only thing is Africans, Cameroonians in particular, we're spectators, if we even know that the game is being played. And this is really just to empower all of us to be able to go back and think about this. If we're not engaged directly, we know somebody who could act on this kind of information. If we can't act on it because we don't have the expertise, like Mr. Anago said earlier, find somebody who has the expertise, who needs your help. And if you're a guy and your wife asks for diamonds, now you know where to get it.
Early this year, I called him. We had a long conversation, and I told him, listen, the momentum of the struggle has died considerably, and if we don't do something, we may just lose all the gains that we've had over the years, and it will take us decades to be able to recover. And so it's time for us to do something and to find a way to regroup. And of course, as usual, yeah, anytime, let me know. Once you're ready, I'll open my Rolodex and open up some roads and contacts for you. Typical Eyembe. And of course, it was the first time I had heard the word Rolodex, so I had to go Google, like, what's Rolodex? And the past few months, I've been talking to friends. I'm like, hey, I need you to open your Rolodex for me. And they're like, what's Rolodex? I'm like, go and check, go and Google it. You're going to see. But that's Eyembe. And over the last days, and I think on the 25th, 26th, I'd been looking at some of the documents he had produced for us, and I told myself, I need to contact Eyembe and get him to do some work to prepare for some of the trips that we will be undertaking in the coming months. Little did I know that while I was contemplating and planning all these things that he was going to do for us, he was on his way out. And the last communication I got from him was on Tuesday, the 26th, I think, one day before the crisis, which eventually took his life. And for the following days, 2 or 3 days, I did not even notice that he hadn't communicated, which is strange because if he misses one day, he communicates the next day. He sends something. We don't agree all the time on everything, but he always sends something, and then we will debate it, we will talk, agree, disagree, but we always exchanged. And then on the 31st, I got news of his passing, which I think came to me as a major blow. And I don't think it's me alone. I think there are lots of us who have been deeply affected by his passing. Eyembe has been a comrade, a friend, and a brother to me right to the very end. We have communicated, shared, and been comrade for the past 16, maybe 17 years. And anyone who has had the chance to visit Atlanta and to meet him would testify to his friendliness, to his humility, and ever readiness to assist and to support in whatever way. And that's how, whenever I'm there, he's always coming to fetch me to say, hey, we have to come, we'll go chop achu, or ekbang, or watafufu, or something. And it's strange how somebody could be so powerful, so influential, and yet so humble, so easy to get along with, to the point that you can easily underestimate him. And when we are together, it's always like two teenage boys who have met and we're having all this conversation between teenagers, and then the next moment we're having a serious discussion on the struggle, and then the next moment we're talking his regular trips to Florida for family reasons and so on. And that's Eyembe. We have lost an icon as a people, and for me as a friend, as a brother. Most importantly, the behind the scenes work that Eyembe did. Very often we have taken credit for a lot of things that we were able to achieve in the struggle, and yet behind the scenes, unseen, unheard, was the man who made things happen, who opened doors, who opened his Rolodex and made phone calls, was able to link us to the people. He had a vast network at the highest level. Within the government of the United States, the corporate sector, he had people. All he needed to do was send an email, make a phone call, and we had access. Most of all, for me, I would say that Eyembe played a crucial role at a very, very dark period. During the Naira arrest in Nigeria, I suddenly found myself in this very, very complicated situation. And while some within our ranks saw it as an opportunity, oh, now here goes Millan in a very difficult situation, let's take advantage and nail him. Behind the scenes, Eyembe was working very, very hard to make sure that I got out of that country in safety. He was able to knock on the doors of our American friends, push to get a chartered plane to get me out of the country to safety. He was calling me regularly to give me directives as to how to go about it, put me in contact with our American friends to give me all the assistance that I needed. And while some of our Facebook champions were busy churning out information to the effect that, oh, Millan is actually on his way trying to cross the border from Nigeria to Ghana, I was watching most of that with interest from my home, thanks to the efforts of Eyembe, of our American friends, and a very, very select few friends who actually knew what was going on. And to this day, I can actually count on the fingers of my hand the number of people who knew exactly how I managed to get out of that country. And all of that thanks to Eyembe. For that, I will forever be grateful to him. His passing is a stark reminder that the best soldiers do not necessarily see the promised land. And that even as we continue to push this fight, there is a very strong chance that not all of us will make it. That notwithstanding, nothing is as honorable as going out the way Comrade Eyembe did, with full honors. And I look forward to the day when we are going to build a monument in his honor. A luta continua.